Because this is an original. No one knows about this shit.
Manhattan courthouse just a few minutes ago, Bernard Madoff, who was convicted of one of the largest financial frauds in history, a Ponzi scheme worth tens of billions of dollars, was sentenced today. A judge sentenced him to 150 years in prison. That's what the prosecutors are asking for. That is the maximum that this man could get. His lawyers were asking for just 12 years, a very, very heavy sentence. And it was a very dramatic morning in the courthouse today. Bernard Madoff faced his accusers. He faced the victims of this financial fraud, and he told them, "I'm sorry." He said, "I thought when I started this, I'd be able to work my way out. I made a terrible mistake. I made an error of judgment," he said, "and I couldn't get out of it. I've left a legacy of shame to my family and grandchildren. I will live with this for the rest of my life." At the end, he said his wife cries herself to sleep every night, thinking of the pain he's caused. And again, he faced his victims and he said simply, "I'm sorry." Sharon Alfonsi, our Sharon Alfonsi, is standing outside the courthouse right now. Sharon has been listening to what some of the victims have said, what some of the victims of this fraud have been telling Bernard Madoff. Sharon, what are they saying?
John, this is obviously what the victims were hoping for, the maximum sentence. The sentencing began this morning with 9 of Bernie Madoff's many hundreds of victims addressing the court. We heard from Dominic Ambrosio, a retired corrections officer. He said it's undescribably heinous crime. He has no credit, he can't get a mortgage. Another victim says that Bernie has taken his life, that he has no retirement, he can't afford to visit his grandchildren in California. And another victim who began crying on the set actually looked at Bernie Madoff and says the jail should be his coffin. We heard from another victim who said that he's living on food stamps and actually going through dumpsters to survive. Federal prosecutors, as you said, had asked for that maximum sentence of 150 years. Madoff's attorney had asked for 12 years, saying that Madoff is 71 years old and that would be effectively a life sentence. But this is a very clear message from the judge with a 150-year sentence, exactly what the victims were hoping for.
Sharon Alfonsi outside the courthouse down in Lower Manhattan. Thank you very much again. Bernard Madoff saying there is no excuse and I don't ask for forgiveness. 150 years in prison. Now, you can get much more on this story later on.